Whenever people talk about David and Goliath, they usually focus on the size difference, the fact that David was small and Goliath was massive. And sure, that matters, but I think something that even more is interesting and gets overlooked a lot is not just that David was smaller, is that David didn't look anything like what people thought that strength was supposed to look like. Think about what strength looked like in that moment. A lot of armor, helmet, a sword, protection. You got a big, massive build. You're strong. You're got a mean presence, and that kind of appearance kind of makes you think like, hey, this guy belongs in a fight with Goliath. David didn't have that. Goliath, on the other hand, had all of it, all of the stuff that a warrior was supposed to have. He had bronze armor, massive weapons, physical appearance that was just scary, right? Everything about him looked powerful. So when David said he'll fight Goliath, Saul's immediate response was to wear his armor. And I think that moment says so much because Saul assumes that the only way that David can survive is if David puts his confidence in the same kind of strength that everyone else understands: protection, weapons, external power, something that's visible, something measurable, something that makes sense. And honestly, I think that a lot of us think this way too. We feel that we need to become more before we can face something hard or do something difficult. We feel like we need to prepare more. We feel like we need more resources, more time, more confidence, tons of different things. More proof that we are enough and that we can do it, instead of just having confidence that we are enough already. Because that trusting what you can see is safer. So, David tries the armor on, and that's what's really interesting about this. He puts it on and he attempts to move it, and then he says he can't go in these because he hadn't tested them. And I love that line because David understood something deeper than just discomfort. It wasn't that the armor didn't fit physically, the armor didn't fit spiritually. Saul's armor represented a different source of confidence. It represented human strength, protection that you can like touch or see or grasp onto, power that looks impressive from the outside. And Saul's kind of idea of protection and strength was like if he has enough of this armor, if he has enough of these weapons and stuff, that he'll be fine. He can fight. He can fight Goliath. But David's confidence wasn't in the armor or the swords or anything like that. David said he had already fought battles like this before, and every time he talks about them, like he doesn't say like I was strong enough in that battle or I did this and that and I had this much armor and that's what helped me win the battle. Instead, he said, "The Lord delivered me." That is huge because David wasn't walking on to that battlefield trusting himself. And he definitely was not trusting Saul's armor. He was trusting in God, 1,000%. So when Saul hands him armor, David just isn't like rejecting his equipment. He's rejecting like a different way of thinking. Because if David walks onto that battlefield depending on armor, then he's fighting like Saul. And Saul had already been terrified. Saul, if you read previously in Samuel, then you would see that Saul was only focused on, statues of himself. He was nervous. He was a nervous king. And he had no confidence in the Lord. He had all his confidence in himself. And when he didn't deliver, then he was let down. So this is David completely rejecting the ideology that Saul has been promoting, or that the ideology that Saul was kind of putting forth while he was a king. So just imagine that. The king, fully equipped, fully armored, is exactly what strength is supposed to look like. And David, the shepherd, with no armor, no sword, no appearance of power, he had a slingshot. Nobody fought with a slingshot. I mean, that's what shepherds used, but no armies really fought with slingshots. But because confidence always doesn't real confidence doesn't always come from what you have around you. Sometimes it comes from what you know is with you. On one side, you had Goliath with all his armor, weapons, size, intimidation. Everything of Goliath was external. On the other hand, you had David, who had a sling, which is kind of a measly weapon, a few stones, and some faith. And from the outside, that looks ridiculous. But David understood something that most people miss. What weakness looks like to some people isn't weakness if your confidence was never in yourself to begin with. Because Saul's armor might have made David look stronger, but it would have pulled him away from the very thing that his confidence was rooted in. I think that really hits hard because, how often do we do that as Christians? God prepares us in one way, but because it doesn't look impressive enough, we reach for something else, something that looks stronger, safer, more acceptable, more convincing to other people. But sometimes the thing that makes most sense externally is the exact thing that weakens you internally. The sling looks small, but David had tested it. And most importantly, he had seen God work through what looks small. And sometimes that's the whole idea of it. It's not that you need more, but that what you already have, when surrendered to God, is enough. So I'll say, don't put your confidence in what looks strong and the outward appearance of something, because that's what Saul would have done. Put your confidence where David did. Saul had everything that looked like strength, and he was still terrified inside. David had everything that looked like weakness, and inside he was confident, he was strong, and he was able to defeat Goliath because of that. So, yeah, that's all I got for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know it's been a minute for a new video to come out, but I just moved back from college, and yeah, it's been a transition period, so it took a couple of days. But we're back on the train here, and we're going to keep pumping out these videos. I'm going to get some shorts up. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching so much. I hope you guys like this video. And, yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Oh, my gosh. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Thank you.